Hey, beautiful people. I'm Amber Noel, and this is A Nanny's Life. Welcome back to the pod. We got a new episode for you guys today, but before we start the episode, we have a very important introduction to make. This season on the show, we are so blessed to have help. We have brought on, and by we I mean me, but you go with it, guys. I've brought on a really, really good friend of mine who is willing to intern with me, although she's way more of a producer than an intern. Let's be real. This is a nanny friend that I actually made on the internet. She is based in Dallas. She's a former triplet nanny. She is professional at minding her business, and I really just hope to learn and to glean. Okay. My friend is recently back in the nanny game, back in the industry. Y'all welcome Bernadette Louise. What's
Hey
going
guys.
on, friend?
Hey.
We're doing it. I'm so excited.
We here. We here.
How you feeling, boo?
We're good. Real good.
Good.
Excited.
Excited to be back to the nanny life.
Yes, I am. It took a lot to get back to this, but I'm very excited and very honored to be back in the nanny life. Yeah, I'm excited.
Yeah, we need you here, friend. Absolutely. And I couldn't think of a better episode to start off with chatting with you because this is probably the most frequently asked thing that I get in my DMs, especially from like people who I went to high school with or college with, who I'm the only nanny they know. Everyone's asking, like, how do I hire a nanny? What do nannies need? What are nannies expecting? So today we're going to talk all things nanny 101. We're going to cover the basics of what nannies are looking for when they're looking for positions. And hopefully, based on this episode, you will learn if you are a good prospective employer or if maybe this is not the route for you. And that's cool because not everybody needs a nanny. Let's
Not
be
everyone
real.
can do it. Yeah.
It is not for everybody. Honestly, I don't know if I would hire a nanny. So we can unpack that some other time. Anywho, I want to start off by defining what a nanny is. So I went to Webster because, we check in with Webster from time to time. Words mean things. And Webster defines nanny as a child's nurse or caregiver. And secondarily, they define it as a woman who is paid to care for a young child, usually in the child's home. How do we feel about those definitions, Speak?
I mean, you say a
Right.
woman or male. So accurate but not accurate.
Yeah.
There's no professionalism in that. Where's that we are professional people?
And I feel like because it's so open ended that way, this is why society cannot agree.
Yeah.
And for some reason, instead of just asking nannies, families like to create their own idea of what a nanny is. And the truth of the
Yeah.
matter is, a nanny does not have to be a woman. A nanny can be a woman, a man, a nanny can be non binary. A nanny is a person who comes into your home to offer you private child care on terms that you guys have mutually agreed upon. Nannies are professionals. Many of us have been doing this for so many years. We take it seriously. So let's talk through how we structure nanny jobs. Okay. First and foremost, I would like to cover a reasonable job scope because reasonable is not always typical, unfortunately. So, let's see. What do you feel like is reasonable in terms of job requirements for a nanny? A regular degular, we should say. A regular degular everyday nanny. What do you think, B?
Supervision. First and foremost, supervising the children, activities in and outside the home, keeping them safe, light housekeeping pertaining to children only. That is laundry, bottles, plate, spoon, anything pertaining to the child, I think is the scope. That's regular, degular. Nap time, probably. Education, learning, that type of thing. Nothing more, nothing less.
Heavy on the nothing more. No, truly, I think a good rule of thumb, if you're thinking about hiring a nanny and you have in your mind that you want them to do a lot more household tasks or cleaning, Nannies are typically looking to leave a household as good as we found it, right? Above and beyond would be leaving it better. So, when we're talking chores like laundry, we prefer to do the kids' laundry. If someone is doing adult laundry, that is more than a nanny. Dishes. Typically, nannies do the dishes that nannies use through the day. If you have a nanny and you expect them to do the dinner dishes and all that, just understand that that is extra. That is beyond the typical reasonable job scope.
That is above our pay grade.
A little bit. Honestly, now that I'm working a job that is legitimately just childcare, I don't know. I don't know how I ever did it. The more. I feel like we adapt and we adjust a lot, but we shouldn't always have to.
We get comfortable, the family, it tends to be like, oh, I'll do that because I love this family. We're comfortable. We're friendly. We are family. So yeah, I think once we've gotten comfortable, we tend to do things a little bit more out of our scope without being compensated for them.
Yeah, and a lot of times it's like I'll do it this one time because I see that you're stressed. I see y'all are busy. I got 20
Yeah.
extra minutes today because the kids slept 3 hours, so I'll do it. And then that becomes the expectation. In our industry, we
Right.
call that job creep, which is
Mhm.
where, oh my goodness, and this happened to me one time. This is about hours, but I'm gonna just tell the story real quick before I forget it because I was working for a family. I won't say which family. I love y'all, but this happened. I was working for a family and I was contracted to work from 8 to 6. One day I got to work on time, but my boss was not able to get to their job on time because they had underestimated their own commute. Instead of saying all that to me, I was asked to come in at 7:30 the next day so that one of my bosses could make a meeting. And I did. I obliged. I was not paid extra, but that's again not the issue.
Yeah.
The day after that, I came in at 7:30. The following day, it's 7:45. I'm literally walking to the building and I get a text, "Where are you?" And I'm like, "Oh, I'll be there in a minute. I'm actually probably going to be early today." And I was told, "Well, it's supposed to be 7:30 now, right?" So, just know that if you do something one time to help someone out, you may
Mhm.
want to make it clear that you're only doing it one time, nannies.
Yeah. Yeah.
And families don't expect us to just always do it. Okay? That made me lose my headphones. It was such a wild thought. Okay, so that's reasonable job scope. Awesome. Nannies are also looking for legal pay.
Say
Legal
that.
pay. Okay. And legal pay means that just like if I worked down to the Walmart, down to the Wendy's, anywhere else, any other business, any other corporation, that you as a family, as the business, have an employer ID number, that I get a W-2 at the end of the year. Me personally, I need direct deposit.
Mhm.
The whole texting and asking to be paid thing is very much hashtag
Hey,
babysitter problems. Exactly. Exactly. So when we say legal pay, we are not accepting a 1099 if we are your full-time nanny. It's not happening.
yeah.
Please do not send me my money via an app. I would like direct deposit. So do not pay me through the payroll of your company. Some people
No.
have figured out ways to do that, but like at the end of the day, it changes the classification of the job. It changes the work you're doing from domestic work to just work. And that
Yeah.
will have impacts on your taxes that you pay out and a lot of other things. So again, W-2, legal pay. I need proof that I work here because first of all, I'm an adult and
What's that
I
about?
would like that, but also like unemployment, buying a
Unemployment.
home, getting like
Yeah.
legal pay. So if you are not looking to pay someone legally, I don't think you're looking for a nanny.
Well, and honestly, you can't afford a nanny.
Well, that's putting it honestly. And listen, we know we're expensive, y'all. We know. We understand. And we would much rather you be honest about your capacity
Yeah.
than to try and take on a nanny and then 6 months down the road realize that it really is putting such a big strain on you because yeah, I'm
Yeah.
not trying to stress you out.
Nope.
I'm not trying to stress you out. And like I said, nannies are considered to be expensive. Ultimately, we're looking to make a living wage. Now, that is a fairly new term that has come out and
Yeah.
been thrown around. And I think people tend to disagree on what that means. What do you interpret a living wage as being?
Being able to live on what I make for work. Being able to provide for myself and in my case, my dog, who's very expensive, being able to put gas in my car weekly, being able to buy my own groceries, being able to pay all of my bills on time, letting them come out of my account. That's, I mean, that's it. And being able to like take trips, living life. Like, I don't want to be nickel and diming my entire life. That I could go get a different job and not have to do that. Um, so yeah, being able to live with the wage that I'm making, a comfortable life, not a stressed out, oh my gosh, I don't have any money. When are they gonna pay me life?
Yeah. And the crazy thing is, most families don't offer a lot of the perks that other corporations might. Retirement funds, health insurance, a lot of incidentals. I mean, when nannies get injured, a lot of times nannies lose jobs, you know?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
we need to earn enough money to live well, but we also need to earn enough money to save money because we don't have the safety net that a lot of other industries provide to people who work with them. So just be prepared when you're like, oh my goodness, $30 an hour. Yeah.
$30.
Yeah, because I also have to pay my insurance out of pocket. Like I have a lot of other costs that are incurred, and especially for nannies who have partners in other industries. The man that I stay with here, he
Yeah.
he's blue collar. He's a union man, and they got they have safety nets.
I
They have
do.
assurances. They have, and it's I don't know. Anyway, so that's a living wage.
I so wish like there was like a nanny union. That would just be amazing.
It
I
would.
think
It
about that
would be
all the
tough to
time.
regulate, but yeah,
Oh God. Yeah.
it would be ideal. We'll figure it out one day, guys. For now, we have the National Domestic Workers Alliance, and they are doing their level best to get us good and standardized throughout the country. Okay, next on your list when you're hiring a nanny is the concept. This is family's least favorite thing, I think, even worse
Yep.
than taxes.
Yep.
In our industry, we have something called guaranteed hours. I feel like we need like a jingle for guaranteed hours. So, my understanding of guaranteed hours is that, first of all, it's mutually beneficial. Before I even explain it, please understand it protects the nanny, but it also protects you. It guarantees you that your nanny will be available. Okay. So, guaranteed hours are when you outline in your contract the hours that you expect your nanny to be ready and available to work weekly. And you understand that if you ask your nanny not to come in, if you take a trip somewhere, if you and your family all get the neurovirus and your nanny is not coming in, you are still to pay your nanny because those hours are guaranteed. And your nanny is not a contract worker. They cannot easily fill that time every time something changes. So you guarantee those hours. And just like, your nanny gets paid even if they don't work, when you need your nanny at the last minute, like your nanny's available. If you tell your nanny, and this has been a bone of contention in some groups lately that I've seen because a nanny will say, my family said that they were going out of town at the end of the month and I booked a trip and now they're not going.
Yes.
Do I have to go to work? And the answer is you should.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you're using PTO. So that's how
Yeah.
it is mutually beneficial, families. I promise you, you want a nanny with guaranteed hours. Otherwise, your nanny is always looking for their next job. Simple as that.
I think I've seen so many messages or comments on that. Like, oh, my boss has said, come on vacation when they have vacation, but now their vacation is not happening. It's like, that's what happens. You sign a contract for
Now,
guaranteed hours.
I will say we have to learn to be careful about language as well. Because
Mhm.
if a boss tells me to book a vacation during their vacation, and that is like, because some families do you get 2 weeks PTO, but one of our choosing and one of yours,
Yeah,
which I
yeah,
hate that, but I get it.
yeah, yeah,
So if it's that, then no, you don't get to
yeah,
tell me to come in. But if you just had it on the calendar, you were going somewhere, and 2 weeks before you go, you say you're not going, technically your nanny should be coming in or using PTO. That's what makes it mutually beneficial.
yeah. Hopefully
And
they have.
the pet care thing is also a big bone of contention with
Yeah,
nannies and families. So the scenario would be the family's going out of town for 6 weeks. Well, sometimes it's only 1 week, but I know friends whose families vacate for long periods of time. But the family's going out of town for any amount of time that falls during your work days, and they're leaving pets home, and they want you to care for their pets in lieu of caring for the children. Now, if you do not have it outlined in your contract that guaranteed hours do not apply to pets, me personally, I think you should go feed that cat, friend. I think you should just go on and take that dog outside. Just because how much easier is that than taking care of those children?
yeah, yeah.
You know? I don't know. What do you
Yeah.
think?
I mean, yeah, I've always been like, I, none of my contracts are like, we've never talked about like, hey, we got a town, you take care of the pets. Like I've had families where some of their family comes and takes care of the pets, and I just go and check on the house, do groceries, clean out the fridge. But I mean, there have been like families where they're like, you don't have to come over.
Mhm.
If you want to, you can. We don't really need you to take care of our pets. If you want to, you can. We'll pay you extra. But it's never been like you need to come and check on the dog. You need to come and let them out. But I've always been like more than willing to do that because especially if I'm just not doing anything else, I'm gonna go over there. That's all with me every day.
Yeah, I think if your PTO is your PTO, it doesn't
Yeah,
hurt
I
to
wouldn't.
help the
Yeah,
family out when they're gone.
yeah, yeah,
But if you are one of those overworked, underpaid, you can't remember your last vacation day, then it may be time to revise that contract, friend, because
yeah,
I get how that's frustrating.
yeah.
I probably wouldn't want to do it, but yeah. But I also wouldn't charge extra. I'm either going to agree to do it or I'm not. Like and this is I guess the regular nanny in me. I'm not going to tell you, okay, so you're paying me $300 a day to enjoy my own house. I can't make that drive without you giving me another 50 to 75 bucks. Like I that's not how I would approach
I
it, but
think,
again, it's up to the nanny.
yeah. I mean, I haven't ever asked anyone. They've always offered. I feel like people would offer. I don't know. Maybe not.
Baby,
Maybe.
ain't nobody that was already guaranteeing me my salary. No one has offered me extra for them animals. They have given me the option to do it or not do it. That's amazing. And that is a testament to every family is different and every
Yes.
nanny is different.
Yes.
Because comparing notes will have you out here feeling like,
Honestly, it would.
because another thing that I think a lot of people skirt around is overtime pay.
Yeah.
And
What?
technically,
Wow.
overtime pay starts at hour 41. It just does. Like, that means that your nanny can also charge time and a half to babysit outside of their work hours
Right.
because they're at their job even more. I think a lot of families don't take that part into account, the overtime pay.
How do we feel about guaranteed hours of 45? Like 45 hours guaranteed.
I mean, that's my job right now,
You
to
know,
be
for example.
completely transparent. I'm contracted 45 hours. I'm guaranteed 45 hours. The extra 5 hours are over 40 hours.
So do you get paid overtime or you get paid straight for the 45 hours?
I get paid straight for 40 hours, and then hours 41 through 45 at time and a half. Now,
Because
I will say that is not something we come by every time, y'all. It's not.
yeah, Yeah.
But it is what it should be. Amen. It is how it should be. But not every family, unfortunately, not every
Yeah.
family is as willing. But here's the thing, we don't always have to only negotiate money. Sometimes we can negotiate time. If you can't pay those extra 5 hours at time and a half, let's find weeks where you don't need me for those 5 hours. You know what I mean? Let's
Yeah.
let's let's find a way to make it so that I'm not overextending myself for your comfort.
Yeah.
You know, there's ways to deal with those things, but according to the labor department, hours 41 through 45 should be automatically OT.
Yep.
So maybe find a way to, one parent stay home a little later in the morning, one parent come home a little earlier in the evening, or something to avoid that. It's what it is. It is what it is. So that's the money stuff. The money is a big driving force in our industry, I think, but one thing we underestimate is the importance of a good working environment,
Yeah.
good working office space, which for
Yeah.
us happens to be your home. So, Bern, how about you share some good things about an office, some things that you need to be able to function as a good nanny?
I need communication.
Amen.
I also need to communicate as well.
Mm,
Mutual communication. A mutual understanding of boundaries, especially having work from home parents, hybrid parents, that we are in charge. You have me come in for a certain amount of time in the day. In that time, I'm in charge. Everyone should know. Kids, parents, grandparents, everyone knows. I'm in charge. You can come in. You can say hi. You can color with us. You can stop by. But this is my job. This is what you pay me for. I need the boundary to be boundaries. And just free range to be able to, adventure with your child. Have those memories with you. Just cultivate a routine. I'm really big on routine. I love like being spontaneous, but I'm also really big on routines. I feel like it helps kids a lot. But just those things will I will succeed. I will be the best nanny you will ever have. But that's all I need, It's not much. Not much.
it's not much, but sometimes it's hard to.
It's hard to have people in your face,
Right.
especially who are not your family, who are not, you know, yeah, they're with your kids. Your kids are gonna love them. Like that's hard to watch.
Yeah. And it's also just hard to like be on when you're at home.
Yeah.
Like sometimes I think about if somebody came here to where I stay and tried to function, then that's when I realize I have to extend some grace to the people that
Yeah,
I work with and the fact
for
that they're
sure.
they're they're at home. They've already put in their hours, they've already, parented a bunch and stuff, but it really does help to have like just talking about the physical environment, it helps to have first of all the basics for the tiny humans. So I'm a nanny who always works with first time parents if I can help it. Um, so I
Mhm.
start with babies. Soon as you're ready to hand them over, I'll take them. Okay. So coming into a home, we need a crib set up. We need it to be according to safe sleep guidelines. It is really messed up. And I know y'all don't mean it to be messed up. You feel like it's what's best, but it really puts us in a weird position when you ask a nanny to practice unsafe sleep practices with your children. So, number one, we got to have the sleep space. Ideally, it's dedicated. Not everyone has that. But honestly, if you can afford a nanny, if you can afford to pay a nanny what they deserve to earn, we would like for your child to have their own space,
Yeah.
a dedicated space to sleep, a dedicated place where it's okay for there to be toys. That doesn't
Mhm.
mean you have to have a playroom. I can do minimalist. I absolutely can. But during the day, I need to know like which zones are safe. If I'm driving your child, I would like for you to provide me with a seat for your child. I'm not out here on Facebook Marketplace getting car seats because I don't have no children. And I feel like a lot of families do the like nanny installs the car seat every Monday and gives it back
Mhm.
on Friday. And for one, the more times you install a car seat and uninstall it, the less safe it gets over time. It's just, that's a CPST thing. But also, in case of emergency, you don't want to be sharing a car seat with the caregiver. Because what if your caregiver gets in a car accident Thursday with your car seat? Now you don't have a car seat. So, crib, bedroom, play space, car seat. For my diaper bag, because I use my own diaper bag, I'm using your stock. So I'm gonna use some wipes from your home. The diapers are coming from your home as well. So it helps to have an excess so that we can move around. A good stroller. I love a good stroller because I do a lot of walking. What? Do you have PTSD from strolling 3 babies?
No, it's not even them. It's the new stroller that I've been trying to figure out. But
Is it like fancy or is it like,
it's literally the worst stroller I've ever dealt with because it's a car seat and a stroller, and
oh, it's
I don't.
that thing? Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, yes, I don't. Anyway, sorry. Yeah, I don't.
One day we're gonna talk products specifically that nannies
Oh
love and that
God.
nannies hate,
Yeah,
because
yeah.
this is the first time I've worked a job where the parents, they always run it by me, like what they're gonna get going forward. And
Mhm.
they value my opinion, and I appreciate that, because certain things I don't care, but certain things I'm like, no, 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 I do not want to deal
Yeah.
with that. So we should definitely talk products at some point. But as far as office space, I think the only other thing, I mean, I think you can make any neighborhood work, but just consider where you are. So if you're in a neighborhood that is not walkable, maybe allow your nanny to drive the baby. If you're
Yeah.
not going to allow your nanny to drive the baby, then I'm assuming that your home has all the things we mentioned before, but also like a screened in porch and a big backyard and, a play space and all that, because change of scenery is very important for taking care of small people all day
Yeah.
long. Our shifts are 9-10 hours most of the time, and we need to get out sometimes. And then, I mean, you already touched on the autonomy and input and respect. But I just want to remind families, if you hire a nanny who's been working in this industry for 10 plus years, they know some things, they've seen some things. So if something is happening and you're like, that's weird, why would she do that? Go ahead and ask your nanny. What
Mhm.
makes you do that? Because 9 times out of 10, we have an answer, and it's a valid
Yeah.
answer. I
Yeah.
mean, yesterday I took my baby to a store. I'm not going to name the store because they upset me yesterday while I was in the store. We can talk
Uh-oh.
about that later. But I took my baby to a store because she had never ridden in a cart before.
Oh.
She's solid at sitting up now on her own. So riding in that cart was not only exciting for her, but it was a good core exercise. And,
Yeah.
there was a reason for it. It wasn't just because I needed body wash. So just ask your nanny if there's a reason why they're doing what they're doing, because 9 times out of 10, there is a reason. Okay, so B, now we got to talk about, I think, one of the hardest parts of the job, which is being a catch all for extenuating circumstances. This is more so for parents who work outside the home.
Mhm.
Typically, if the parents are home, then whatever happens in their house, you just call them and they
Yeah.
handle it. I actually am really enjoying that about work from home parents right now. But contractors, visiting guests, grandparents in town, but you still have to go to work, lack of resources like power outages.
Mhm.
Or like, I don't know, maybe one day you come home from carpool with 3 children for lunch and the kitchen is sealed off.
Lord.
These
Yikes.
things would not work well in other working environments. Like, please keep in mind, if your nanny worked down to the Wally World, if the power was out, your nanny, that person is going home. If the contractor comes in to speak to the manager at Wally World, they're not going to talk to whoever's on the floor. They need to speak to the manager. So just try not to leave so much of that to your nanny. Just, I mean, unless you have someone who is not just a nanny, they're like a house
Right.
manager or family assistant, something like that. Because, first of all, clearly I have PTSD, but children, children like the structure that you were
Yeah.
talking about, B.
Yeah.
Children like it,
Yeah.
they need it, they appreciate knowing what to expect.
Mhm.
When things change, not only does your nanny have to adapt, so
Mhm.
do your kids.
Your little people gotta adapt.
I don't know if y'all have
They're
been
not
around
young,
toddlers
Katie.
before,
Yeah.
baby. Like, so
Um,
it's I think a lot of times nannies get a bad rap because, families are like, you're there, you're paid, just handle it. But it's like,
yeah.
what if you have a child who's afraid of strange faces and cries and screams their head off? What
Or
if,
loud noises.
yeah, your child needs to rest, but there are loud noises? Like, what if your kids have not eaten and are hangry and the kitchen is randomly sealed off? So just
Like
think
me.
about it. This is what you do, parents. This is what you do. You imagine if you are the primary parent, right? Because primary parent is closer to nanny life in some ways. If you
Mhm.
are the primary
Mhm.
parent, right? You got like 3 kids, all under 6, okay? And that secondary parent has now created a circumstance at your home that changes the way that you function. Are
Mhm.
you going to want to stay in that home and function, or are you going to want to get out? Are you going to be happy about it, or is it going to mess up your day? Just
You have to be able to function. You are not gonna be able to function.
because again, toddlers, what do you mean I can't get to my goldfish, friend? Like I had big plans for
I
snack
need to get
time.
my food. It's like, what are we doing?
Oh my goodness. Do you have an opinion on hanging out with like visiting guests, like grandparents, aunts, uncles, friends of the family without the parents present?
Oh, I have been fortunate enough to have very good relationships with grandparents, actually. I mean, there's been one instance where I haven't had like the best with like uncles or aunts but for the most part, I have had great relationships with grandparents. A family that I knew for during COVID, I'm still super close to them. And I even took my niece without the parents, like my old bosses, without them, and went with the girl to the grandparents' house who live on a farm, and we were there for a whole weekend. And so, like, me and the grandma just like chit chatting, yapping it up,
That is so sweet.
But yeah, I it depends on the grandparent. It depends on the aunt and uncle. It just depends.
But
But
then like how do we cuz here's what happens. This episode is getting long. Y'all don't mind. Here's what happens. One experience tends to inform the next, right?
yeah,
So,
yeah,
say you work for a nanny family, it's your first job, you love the grandparents, y'all spend tons of time together, it's great. You go into your
hmm
next job, and because the first time it was fine, you don't set any boundaries around that.
hmm
And these different humans, and you who are a different nanny at this point because you've had experience and you've gotten older, maybe don't click as well.
yeah.
How do you then go to a parent and that you may not have an answer because I don't honestly. How do you then go to a parent and say, you know what? I know this would be helpful for you, but it actually is not helpful to me. How do you make that argument if you haven't set the boundaries going in?
I mean, you just have to because I mean, I've had a time where I had an uncle coming in town every few months or whatever, and like telling me you're good to go, like you can go, and I'm like, you're not my boss. So I told my bosses like, this is no, we can't have that. And I mean, I've had times where you know some grandparents have done some things during their time with me were unsafe for children to be around. And like I've always told my bosses, if it's a time where we need to have a talk about grandparents, we will have a talk about grandparents because this is my job. If you want them here, that's perfectly fine, but they need to have the same boundaries that you guys have
Yeah.
uh, when when you're home. But typically, grandparents know I'm in charge, and they're just like, I'll follow your directions. You just let me know. But I think I've only had like one family that it's been contained.
Yeah, I think 9 times out of 10, if you're a parent trying to gauge whether or not your parent or in-laws can hang out with your nanny, it really is going to be similar to your relationship with them
Right.
a lot of times. And
True.
if you're self-aware enough to know that like my mom does not do what I ask her to do when it comes to the children, so she's definitely not going to listen to someone else, then
Yeah.
sure, but like I don't know, it's such a gray area.
Yeah.
Such a
And it
gray
depends
area.
on the person. It just depends on grandparents.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
Hit or miss. It's a hit
It
or miss.
really is. It really is. Goodness gracious. Anyway, this work is so fascinating and all that we end up enduring. We did touch a little bit earlier on perks when I was talking about the things that we don't get included with our paycheck.
Okay.
And perks are going to vary from family to family.
Yeah.
You know, it really just varies. I think
Yeah. We
the,
had like lady do healthcare.
yeah, I've never,
I don't know, ever
I've,
had one family do healthcare.
I have never. And honestly, I mean, it depends on your lifestyle and what you need
Yeah.
and if
Yeah.
the job is giving you what you need in general. Like I was telling this man the other day, like, I don't think I'm burnt out right now. And that's a weird feeling. Like
Hmm.
I could have avoided work because there was ice on the roads, and I
Yeah.
didn't because I wanted to go to work.
Yeah.
Weird place to be, but a good place to be
The best,
nonetheless.
yeah, best place to be.
Yeah, it's amazing. Being a regular nanny, if I am happy at the job, like if I can do
Hmm.
my thing, if I am not worrying about my finances after work, if
Hmm.
I feel like I have some impact, then I'm
Yeah.
good. I'm a happy nanny, you know? And I always say happy nanny, happy family because it really is hard to separate the two, y'all. We be in there. We are in your homes and in your lives. There are
We are.
some niche nanny jobs that I could never do, but that have different standards. And so if you're thinking travel nanny life, if you're thinking live in nanny life, we talked to a yacht nanny before, the Disney nannies, like all those high net worth, uber high profile, all of that is a different world. So when I'm giving you this advice, it's from a regular nanny who works for regular families. All the exciting super stuff, we're gonna have to bring in another expert on because y'all know by now it's not me. It's not me. She's basic. I just want to really quickly list off some other positions, domestic positions that a lot of families assume the nanny will also fold into, but that are in fact their own positions.
Yeah.
And in
Yeah.
fully staffed households, you see all these people. Okay. So, number one is housekeeper.
We are not that.
Honestly, if I was good at cleaning houses, I would just do that. You
Hmm.
know, like cleaning and taking care of kids is a lot of work. It's really not realistic. And I see so many nannies in 2025 who are like, we can't play date because I have to mop the bathroom. So that's number one, housekeeper. House manager. Your nanny's not a house manager. A lot of times as kids get older, our job scope changes, evolves. And a lot of times there's no conversation about it. It just starts happening. You know, before you know it, you're getting groceries, you're signing kids up
Hmm.
for, doctor's appointments and soccer and stuff. House managers are those hybrid roles that are going to take care of the logistics of your home and also see about your kids. And 9 times out of 10, a house manager is working with school age kids or older because
Hmm.
house managing full time while nannying a toddler full time, no,
A lot.
that's not a nanny. A
Yeah.
family assistant. So if you, this is what I think a lot of families really want is someone that you can task with the things that you either can't get to, don't enjoy, or don't have a firm grasp on
Yeah.
without allowing, because a nanny wants to take care of children. A nanny wants to work toward milestones and educate and, experience life through the eyes of a child and really be there for them. But if there are errands and all these other tasks that are not kid related, and now they have to figure out how to do these things with a child in tow, that's more of a family assistant role.
Yeah.
A
Yeah.
babysitter. Shout out to all the babysitters. I'm not a good babysitter. I used to be.
I only babysit my core. No one else. No new people. No new friends, you know.
No, truly. Because yeah. So babysitting, the difference between babysitting and nannying. Babysitting, babysitting is on a case by case basis. It's short term, it's not long term. That is not a salaried employee. When I say salaried, obviously nannies get paid hourly, but it's called salary non-exempt, meaning you got to give up that overtime. So anyway, babysitters are case by case, short term, low responsibility is what it should be. And some of y'all have high responsibilities, but you should not. It should be, keep them alive, keep them safe, feed them pizza and turn on the TV. Like babysitting is really just as a stand-in.
Yep.
9 times out of 10. So if you are a parent who's advertising for a nanny and someone says your rates are not high enough for a nanny in this area, and you say all they have to do is keep them alive, you are looking for a babysitter.
Yep.
It's just what it is. A chef, listen, I will scramble those eggs for that baby. Okay? Okay? I will utilize basic tools to feed that baby. What I'm not doing is making a 4-course meal. I'm not cooking for adults because, again, that is a whole separate job. And how safe would it be for me to take care of a baby with 4 burners going and the oven ablaze?
Yeah.
No. Nannies who cook, like actually cook for the family, amazing. Pay them more. A driver. Now, again, PTSD. Have you ever had a job where all you do is drive?
This actually will be my first one where I will be driving quite a bit.
Really? Are you excited?
I am because I don't like being in that.
Wait, what's quite a bit? What do you mean by that?
School pickup, activity, play date, like out
Are they
for a couple
drop off
days.
activities and stuff?
Yeah. But there's like times where I can go and like do other things, like with the baby, like go to the grocery store, let's go.
Mm, okay.
Library, let's go. Yeah.
So when I talk about a driver, I mean there are some positions that I see families offer that are solely to get children from point A to point B. People will post in like local groups. They need someone to scoop their kids
Yeah.
and take them to school. The commute is about an hour away. You do the math. This is the money I'm offering. You don't want a
Yeah.
nanny for that. I mean, you might want a nanny for that, but that's not a nanny position. And also, driving children, I think, is only doable at a certain age. Like, if you're not involved in their lives, when kids come out of school, they tend to fall apart, especially if they really know you, if they really love you, and they know that you love them. They fall
Yeah.
apart. And then getting them to their activity really takes intention and connection and forethought and all that stuff. So, if you're hiring someone just to drive, that won't be included. So you're going to
Yeah.
want your children to be emotionally intelligent enough, self-aware enough, feel safe enough to kind of do some of that mental management themselves because a driver's not going to do that. A tutor, a lot of nannies help with homework. I've helped with homework before. I think you become a tutor when there is a specific outcome tied to you helping with homework, meaning we need to do this because they need to be reading at this level or they need to get past this test or they need to. That's a separate fee. That's a different job.
Whole different.
And unfortunately, a lot of nannies also become child psychologists. Now, that is a much bigger conversation that we're not going to get into today. It's very complicated and it's delicate. It is delicate. But just know a lot of nannies are out here doing a little bit of all those things I just mentioned just for the nanny fee. So just understand we take this work very seriously. We love this work. We love these children. We are good at this work. And we just want to be able to live a decent life while doing this work, you know? But
I was
yeah,
about to say it again.
if you're looking for a nanny, be prepared to understand what you're getting yourself into and maybe what those expectations might be of that nanny because things don't always align. So when in doubt, communicate, be clear. We prefer you to tell us that you don't want us to blow bubbles in the house because you don't want bubbles on the floor than to just be upset. Just be as honest and transparent as you can about how you feel and what you think and what you want from a nanny. And we will either provide that or bow out. Everybody don't need a
Nope.
nanny.
Nope.
A nanny is not the answer for everyone. If you don't like someone in your space, don't hire no nanny because we in your space, friend. We there.
Yeah. If you don't want to communicate every day with your nanny, do not get a nanny.
Mm-hmm.
And not even like every day, just communicating about your child, communicating about the environment. If you don't want to do that, don't get a nanny.
Also, if you don't want a nanny to love your children and your children to love that nanny back,
Oh, yes.
I don't know how parents can even conceptualize someone not loving their kids after spending so
Yeah.
much time with them because you love
Yeah.
your kids, right? You love them down.
Mhm.
So yes, we love them. Yeah, I think that pretty much covers it. Uh, I love being a regular degular nanny out here helping regular degular folks raise their kids. I'm so happy that B is on this wave with me this season, y'all. When I tell you she got me, she has cracked the whip. She got me on schedule. Um, and I think it's gonna be fun doing little chats here and there with you, friends. So thank you for being here and being part of this with me.
Always down to yap with him.
I'm glad you've come back because everybody told me I should pivot and I didn't want to.
I have so many people telling me that I should pivot to get back into the corporate world. And every time I do, it's not for me. And I don't know why I haven't realized that it's not for me.
Yeah.
I think I have now, but it's just not for me. And that's okay.
And that's good to know. Like I said a couple episodes back, the
Yeah.
people who want to do this work should do this work because a lot of
Yeah.
people would never.
Yeah.
So, one thing we should probably add is where to find nanny jobs. It's another question that I get a lot. And I will tell you the number one place not to find a nanny for your family is through another nanny. And what I mean by that is if you are at the playground and you see a nanny and you say, you know what? I want somebody like that. Don't,
Yeah.
that nanny is not going to find you a nanny.
Oh no.
So, you have the option of social media. There are lots of groups and such. I think social media is a happy medium between care finder sites and agencies because a lot of the social media groups do have both parents and caregivers. So if a parent advertises, a caregiver can vouch for them and vice versa within the community. And you still have a lot of control over the hiring process and stuff like that. Care finder sites petrify me. You won't find me on them, but there are
Why
people.
me?
There are people on them. And then agencies are really the best route to ensure that you're doing things above board on the books the right way, that you're educated in nanny culture, and that you just kind of stay in the loop. But agencies obviously do come at a cost. And I understand not everybody is trying to pay that placement fee. So social media groups would be my number two. Can you think of any other places to find nannies out here?
I think that's it.
Yeah, don't do it on Craigslist.
Oh Lord.
Fun fact, my first nanny job was off Craigslist. So thank you for judging me right here in front of the people.
That was probably eons ago.
It was in 2011. It was a long time ago, but don't do it now. Yeah, do background checks. Make sure you know
You
people.
know what? I think my first one was on Craigslist, not even gonna front.
Look at you. Look at you.
But it was also like through a friend, but I also saw the post before she even told me, and it happened to work out.
But Craigslist has changed, so don't do that. But yeah, thank you guys for tuning in to another episode of A Nanny's Life. Thank you, B, for being here for the long haul. I hope y'all have a beautiful, beautiful week. I hope you take great care of yourself this week. And I do mean take as good care, if not better, of yourself and you do all those other people in your life because all y'all take care of everybody. All right. And I'll see y'all next time. Bye.
Bye.